So last week we went over relative pronouns, and this upcoming week we're going over relative adverbs. I might just go over both of them for this video, so that we'll have it. So let's get to it. So to put it simple, relative pronouns, they basically give a little bit more information about the subject in the sentence. And like we went over when we talked about subject and predicate, we know the subject is what the sentence is all about. So relative pronouns give us a little bit more information about that subject or that noun. So we use who, whom, whose, which, and that to, give us that extra information. And we're going to look at a few examples in a second. Relative pronouns also help us connect ideas within a sentence. So, for example, instead of writing two separate sentences and saying, the book is interesting, I am reading the book, I could say, the book that I am reading is interesting. So, it connects two ideas, making our writing more smoother or, more concise. So here is one trick that I taught them. This is something that I learned when I was younger, but the who versus whom. So for instance, when they have a sentence, I always ask them, well, when the subject is a person, because we know that who and whom refers to people, we want to ask ourselves, who did blah blah blah. So for example, who wrote the letter? He wrote the letter. So he and she connects with the relative pronoun who, and then him and her, they connect with the relative pronoun whom. So what I told them to help them kind of remember it is him has an M, just like the word whom. So with practice it gets a little easier, but yes, that's definitely one of the more difficult ones to figure out. And we'll go practice some examples. All right, so let's take a look at these examples. The person blank won the race trained hard. So you ask yourself, who trained hard? He trained hard or she trained hard. And we know that she and he goes with the relative pronoun who. So the person who won the race trained hard. And I had to keep reminding them, just because we're asking ourselves the question of who, it doesn't necessarily mean that the relative pronoun is going to be who. So let's look at the next one. To blank should I address this letter? So who should I address this letter to? Should I address it to he or should I address it to him? I should address it to him. So we know we're going to use whom, because remember, him has the M. So we're going to go with whom. To whom should I address this letter? Let's go to the next one. She is the teacher blank inspired me. Who inspired me? Are we going to say her inspired me, or are we going to say she inspired me? She inspired me. So that lets me know that I'm going to use who, because he and she goes with relative pronoun who. So she is the teacher who inspired me. Let's go to the next one. I don't know blank to invite to the party. Who should I invite to the party? Should I invite he or invite she? Or would I say I'm going to invite her and I'm going to invite him? It's her or him. So our answer is going to be whom. I don't know whom to invite to the party. Next one. Blank do you think will win the election? Will I say who is going to win the election? I'm not going to say him is going to win the election, her is going to win the election. No, I will either say he is going to win the election or she's going to win the election. No pun intended. AI helped me with these questions. I thought that was just kind of, ironic. But next one, the candidate blank we elected has great ideas. So are we going to, who has great ideas? Are we going to say her has great ideas? Or him has great ideas? No, we're going to say he has great ideas or she has great ideas. So our answer would be who. So now we have more practice with fill in the blanks. So we have our list of relative pronouns. So we have who, which we know refers to people. Whom, who also refers to people. And then we just practice asking ourselves the question of like, who is it? Is it him or her, or is it he or she? So we practice those. We have whose, which shows possession. So when the subject of a sentence owns something, we know that we're going to use whose. Which refers to things and animals. So we will not use which to refer to people at all. So if our subject is a person, we can go ahead and eliminate which. And then we have that, which can be referred to people, animals, or things. And that's why who says more formal. Like these two use in more formal settings, because when it's not really like formal or like not fancy. I guess formal will be the best term. If it's not formal, you just say that. So let's look at number one. The book blank cover is torn, still has all its pages intact. So since we know the subject of the sentence is the book, we can go ahead and eliminate who and whom. So now we are left with who's, which, and that. So now we got to ask ourselves, does the subject own anything? Is the sentence telling us that the book is owning anything or anything belongs to the book? No. So we can cross out whose. So now we're left with which and that. In this case, we could use either one of these. So that's why it's super important for them to have the understanding of when to use these, because sometimes you can use that, sometimes you can use which, and both of them would be correct. So we would say the book, which cover is torn, still has all its pages. Or we could say the book, that cover, no, we can't. Take that back. No. Both of them don't work for that one. The answer would be which. We can't say that. That one does not flow. I'm pretty sure I have another example where which and that can be used interchangeably, but that would not be for here. Which would be the correct answer. All right, next one, the store. We know the store blank sells the best ice cream is closing next month. We know that the subject is the store. So once again, we can eliminate who and whom because those refer to people, and we know the subject, which is the store, it's not a person. So now let's see. Is the sentence telling us that the store is owning anything? No. I mean, we know that it sells the best ice cream, but it's not saying that it belongs to the store, you know? So we're going to cross out whose. So this is the one where you can use it interchangeably. So the store that sells the best ice cream is closing next month, or the store which sells the best ice cream is closing next month. So number two is an example where you could use which or that. Now we have number three, which the woman blank you met at the party is my aunt. So we know that the woman is the subject of our sentence, so we can go ahead and eliminate which, because which only refers to animals and things. The woman isn't owning anything, isn't in possession of anything, so we can also eliminate whose. So now we're stuck with our options: who, whose, and that. So now we're going to ask ourselves, who did you meet at the party? I met her. You met her at the party. So since we know her goes with whom, we know we can eliminate who, and we can write that in. So the woman whom you met at the party is my aunt. Or we could use that, because that also is a refers to people. And that's an example of, more formal. When it's like a sentence where it's more formal, you could say the woman whom you met at the party is my aunt. Or if you're just talking to your friend, versus like maybe you're at like a company party or something like that, the woman that you met at the party is my aunt. So you can use any one of those. Next, we have the computer blank crashed yesterday is working fine now. Once again, the subject of the sentence is the computer. So we know we can eliminate who and whom because those refer to people. The computer isn't owning anything, so we can is not showing any possession, so we can eliminate whose. So now we're left with which and that. So we can have the computer that crashed yesterday is working fine now, or the computer which crashed yesterday is working fine now. Interchangeable again using which and that. So now we have the students blank project won prizes, were very proud. Okay, so we know the students, those are people. We can eliminate which, because which refers to animals and things. Now we got to ask ourselves, okay, are the students owning anything? Well, in this situation, our subject, the students, they're owning the projects. The projects belong to the students. So we have the students whose projects won prizes, we're very proud. So this is just an example, and I will click through the next slides so that, just in case anybody wants to pause and practice, you can do so. Okay, so now we are moving on to relative adverbs. So now we have relative adverbs, and relative adverbs gives us more information about time, place, and reason. So when the adverb when lets us know, gives us more information about the time, where, gives us the location or the place, and then why, it gives us the reason. And here's a little comparison chart here, or slide. So our relative pronouns gave us more information about the nouns or the subjects in our sentence. So we looked at who, whom, which, that, and whose. But the relative adverbs, they give us the questions. They help us know the why, the how, the where, like the reason, the manner in which things happen. And we're gonna practice a few sentences. So as we look here, this is the park blank we play often. So this is the park where we often play. I said that backwards the first time. Where we often play lets us know, okay, this is the location or the place in which we play a lot. We go to the next one. I remember the day blank we first met. So the answer would be when. So we're talking about the time. So they're reminiscent on the time where they first met. That's the reason blank I'm learning English. So that's the reason why I'm learning English, is letting us know the reason for the person learning English. The next one. Do you remember the day blank we went to the zoo? The answer will be when. So it's talking about that time, a specific moment in time. Next one. That is the place blank we found the hidden treasure. So it's a key word right here, place. So we put where we found the hidden treasure. So it's talking about the location. I feel like relative adjectives are a tad bit easier than relative pronouns. I feel like it requires a lot more thinking and analyzing about, okay, look at the subject and then figuring out, like, it's just a lot more to it versus relative adjectives, which are pretty on the nose in my opinion, but we'll see because we haven't gone over it. We're going over that this week, but I feel like this will be a lot easier. And just like I did with the pronouns, I'll show the guided practice slides just in case anybody want to pause them, and, for some practice. But if you're in my class or you're a parent who in my class, pause it and then wait till Friday when they for them to do it, because we haven't gone over this yet and I don't want them to see it prior. So y'all can pause it at this part. And I believe that's it. I guess this is more of a challenge. So if you do want to take the time to take these two sentences and use a relative pronoun or adverb to combine the sentence, I feel like this would be like a really, really great challenge activity. So yeah, that's the end of my relative pronouns and adverbs.